Afternoon, ma'am.
Okay,
Afternoon,
welcome
ma'am.
back to 5-1 Talk. Charot. Vita, welcome back again to our class. This is Campus Journalism, and we are on lecture 5 today for today's lesson. But before we proceed with our lecture discussion, any questions so far for our previous lessons, for your assignments? Any questions? Mga
Okay, pas na may question.
mga pangutana sa
Wala
dakbayan
kay
sa
question.
iligan. Nasabtan na tanan, okay
Wala
ra ta
ma'am
so
kay
far. Unsa man, kay unsa man.
okay ra jud ma'am. Grabe naka-okay kay dako na kayo imong time gihatag. Thank
Ay,
you.
ay ana gyud na siya kay ako man po yung maglabad if ever, magstrinikta ta daring adlapita. Akong ulo pud ang maglabad. So dili lang inyong ulo, ako asang ulo ang maglabad. So pareha na tang tanan, magnilabaray nang tag-ulo ani. Okay, so anyway, let's go proceed to our Moodle classroom. I will be sharing my screen with you guys right now. Okay, and here you can see, oops, you can see here our Moodle classroom. So previously on English 119, murag ko an Netflix. Previously on our classes or lectures, we talked about what is journalism. And in lecture 3, we talked about the elements that makes news. So we have several elements of which it has to be concise, what else? Timely, relevant, and at the same time, it should be something that will catch your reader's attention. We also have learn about writing the lead. So what is the lead? Basically, it is the star of your article or news article or any kinds of articles, specifically news, because it will be the first thing that your readers rather will read on your article. So for example, let's say for example, kind of itong, if you're subscribed or if you followed Facebook pages like AB7 News, GMA News, so na siya, Philstar Philippines, Manila Philippine Star, Manila Bulletin, Inquirer.net, you can see that they would post a picture, and on top of the picture as a caption, there are 2 or 3 paragraphs, mostly one paragraph and then one sentence sa ubos. That is the lead of their news article or their article for that day or for that specific post. Like for example, that time that when Lloyd Cadena died, it was 3 p.m. I think. The post is shot, and there is one paragraph that contains OJ YouTube YouTuber Lloyd Cadena died, blah blah blah, based on his Facebook post on this, blah blah blah. Na siya. And then there is one sentence there that says other information like his families have not yet released statements on the cause of the death of Lloyd. Then on the next paragraph, on one sentence, for more information, click this link to direct you to their website, which contains the complete article. So it's very important that we know how to write the lead because it contains the what, when, where, how, and why of the article. So basically, it's the summary. Kung sa imo pa na siyang Facebook, mo na siyang description nimo. Mo na yung pangalan, then imong description at work sa puso mo, works at Krusty Krab. Muna na siya. That's the lead of your Facebook page, for example. Okay, so it's very important that we know how to construct our lead, which is the very first thing that readers will read from our articles. Okay, so we now have here lecture 5, which is writing news story or writing the news story. So what is news story? It's factual, it's concise, it's a short and straightforward article of an event or a current event especially, and of things that is related to us or to other people, and that is interesting for that matter. So today I will be basically teaching you or discussing to you some main points. I will just discuss to you the main points and how to write your news story or your news article. Okay? Because we are provided with lots and lots of lecture notes and lecture video. And don't worry, I hope that for those who were not able to join this lecture discussion today, I will be posting the screen recording of this one to YouTube and then share the link to our Moodle Classroom so that you can also review. And for those who are not here, will be able to review our lecture discussion and our meeting as well. Okay? All right. Okay. Before I start, any questions? There are no questions, Jude. Sure na gyud na. Wala na gyud pangutana. Wala na gyud. Di na gyud na mausab. Final na gyud.
Wala na, Jude.
Wala na gyud. Okay, so let's get started. I will going to be sharing to you my screen again. I have provided two lecture notes, lecture 5A and lecture 5B. The first one is about this article that I have right here, which I will be discussing mainly today. How to write clear and effective news story. And the second one is this one, which is a presentation of the various structures of news story. So we have straight news, speech report, code story, and interview report, of which you can read after our may pagpasonata karong hapunan, no? Of which you can review and read after our lecture conference today. So basically, I will be talking about this one, and I will also provide the link for this YouTube video on how to write a news story based on a specific outline or a specific format. And you can see it later. This one, you can see it later. This one, of which you can be used for your assignment. Oh, maayong pagpasonata diha, no? Okay. Okay, so let's go to our first lecture, lecture 5B. Okay, let's go start right here. So I will be talking about how to write a clear and effective news story. So I won't be discussing what is news story, what is a news article, because it's provided in the previous lecture on the lead. Because if without discussing what a news story is, we can't proceed to discussing what is the lead. But in short, it's a story about current events and trends. It's factual, concise, short, etc. Okay, so we have here this lecture notes, and before we write our news story, ladies and gentlemen, we have to think first. Okay, we have to think clearly. If you notice that it's true that writing a news story is very difficult. It takes time, especially news, because it has to be factual, it has to be true, it doesn't have to be biased. It 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 should not be biased. It doesn't have it should not be biased. And at the same time, it's complete with all the information necessary, like the what, when, where, how, and why. And basically it's informative, it's straight to the point. So we have to think clearly before we can write clearly. So to write clearly, you must think beforehand. The pattern you can use most often is the who, what, when, where order of the news story. So a good rule would be to get your reader's interest. Lead off with something interesting and promising, and wind up with something you want him to remember. So as I mentioned, as an example, when the news of Lloyd Cadena, are you familiar? Katong YouTuber nga namatay siya. Uh, when the news
Yes,
broke off,
yes.
the lead or the start of the mostly kanang mga online newspapers, ilang post sa Facebook, is because basically it comprises of the five information: who, what, when, where, how, and why. Okay? And then naputo na remember na ako sa last part pud sa katong post na ay sentence dadtong si Lloyd Cadena ay matatanda ang isang sikat na YouTuber na nasumikat sa blah 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 blah. Ana siya. So make sure that when you write something, it should make your readers remember that something. Okay? So you have to wind up with something you want him to remember. Second tip on how to be creative and effective in writing your news story: don't start off with a roundabout fashion. Get to the point. Okay? Ayaw nagpa-char-chari nga ikaw ang bugtong itik nga nagtugpa-tugpa sa akong kuan, ana, something like that. So tiyan lang din nimo, I love you. Period. Like that. Dili kay daghang pa kay pasaring-saring bitang mga asa pa ka naabot diha mga kuan na. No? So it's like that in your story. You have to be concise, straight to the point. Then sa paman. Um, don't bore your reader with a long-winded introduction. So that's why we have the lead, because our lead is basically the most important part, or the most important introduction for your news story. So if you do, your readers is likely to quit reading rather before he gets to the main idea. So here's an example of an involved lead taken from an afternoon daily. For example, this one. Makati on December 2, after carefully addressing the status of the company with particular reference to its record performance, present positions, and future prospects of the board director, blah, 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 company, at a special meeting held last Friday, resolved that the proposal to resolve the corporation be held on March 22, 1999. The dissolution will be accomplished by shortening the term of corporate existence to January 99. In contrast to this one sentence lead, firm to close shop, right? It's very kanang less time consuming, and at the same time it would catch eventually the interest of your the name for your readers, because your lead is very important. It has to be catchy. It's like take it or leave it. It's something like that. Dili kay mag once upon a time in a faraway land, after 50 pages of introduction mo na ni siya among news. Dili mo na. Okay? Next, use familiar words instead of using highfalutin or complex words. You have to make sure that you won't lose your reader if you give him more sentences and fewer complex words. So there are millions of words in the English language, but you have to make sure that you use the common words compared to the complex ones. For example, indisposed, ang pasabot ra dayanan niya kay gasakit. Okay, then incarcerate, na priso raman di ay, jail. Inaugurate, start. Category, class, or what else? Terminate or end. Mura man din siya ang pasabot-anan niya nga mga words. So instead of using highfalutin words, if you remember bitaw katong spokesperson nga si Panelo, Salvador Panelo, di ba? He used to be the spokesperson of the president. And when he does speak in front of the media, usually ang iyang mga words nga gipang use is highfalutin words. Mean to say ka na bang
Lalom
mga
kayo.
lalom kayo nga dili matungkad nga 16 feet na ang kalalom bitaw nga magdugo na lang imuhang mag-nosebleed na lang ka. So that's why that's probably the reason why nganong nailisdan siya ni Harry Roque, which is more pangmasa nga taste of speaking in front of the media, because he would likely use Filipino and English at the same time, but too tactless for some. But iyahang language is very direct. It's very pangmasa. It's very understandable. It's very easy to understand, rather. Next, we have to omit verbal deadwood. What are those? Unsa na siya? Effective writing is concise. You can be concise by dropping unnecessary words from phrases or sentences. Every word should tell, and there is no reason to call a spade. For example, a long-handed instrument for turning earth in a garden, which you basically you can say in a short word or in a um, one word equivalent. For example, instead of saying for the reason that, you can just say because. Instead of saying told his listeners, you could have just said. Instead of saying affix his signature, pwede ra imumukha mo yung kag-signed. Or instead of saying was able to make his escape, pwede ra po siya escape. You are in news story writing, ladies and gentlemen, you are not writing or extending your research paper. Dili na siya yung una nga patasan na limit nga 500 words. No, the lesser the words you use in your news story, the more effective it will be. Okay, because why do people read news? Because they have to be updated all the time. If you notice, kana bitong cliche nga image nga ang papa kay at the breakfast table nagbasa og news story then paspas kay maka-flip sa newspaper. That's because ginascan ra nila ang information sa newspaper, not basically reading every single article na tag-as kayo. That's why you have to be short, concise, and straight to the point in writing your news story. Okay? Then, It should also be in the following examples, the underlined word should be omitted. For example, advanced prediction. Grabe, advanced na prediction pa. The enemy has been slain. Na siya. Fatal killing. Grabe, makapatay ng fatal killing pa jud. Double kill. Tapos, definitely decided. Grabe, kinasama ka naka-indefinitely decide. Triple kill. Tapos, free gift. Gigift na nimo, free pa gyud. Maniac. Tapos, final conclusion. Oh, savage na gyud. Final conclusion. Okay, so we have to remember that double meaning could probably mean negative or mandigit siya ba. For example, plus plus, ano ba? It's like mathematics, man good. Language is like mathematics. So if you both pair two words which are positive, probably mahimo siya negative in some sort or in some cases. So if you can negate or if you can omit words rather in the phrase or in the sentence, the better. Okay, you can just use one line, one word, explanation, even lesser adjectives, the better. And then keep your sentences short. Just like you're omitting words that are unnecessary, you have to keep your sentences short. So the logic of writing short sentences is obvious, basically obvious. The reader absorbs the idea faster, and the longer the sentences, the more words, which means that the more relationships, the more chances he will misunderstand, and the sooner he will quit reading. So people can read up to 40 words per sentences. So it's probably it's suggested that you can write a sentence in less than 10 words. The easier it gets, and max is 20 words per sentence. So here is the table. Very easy to read are 8 or less words in a sentence, and the very difficult ones are 29 or more words in a sentence. Grabe naman yun ng 25, 29. Next, if you can shorten your sentences, then probably you can shorten your paragraph. Okay, so as a rule, begin with each paragraph with a sentence that suggests the topic or a transition sentence. So each paragraph should complete a single thought. So we know this one in our basic writing knowledge already. And after the paragraph has been written, see whether you can further break it into two. All right. The next tip is to use specific and concrete language. As much as possible, do not use vague or imprecise words. Do not use figurative language. Do not use idioms. Do not use proverbs if you can. Okay? Or if ang highlight gid sa imong use is kana siya nga proverb or kuan, just make sure that that proverb or idiom is known, common, and ganang general knowledge siya. So, for example, crime, for instance, is vague. It may range all the way from jaywalking to murder. So you have to be specific, use specific and concrete knowledge, because we know that figurative language has more likely more than two meaning in one word or in a sentence or in that figurative language. Okay? You can instead of saying for example ceremony, what kind of ceremony is that? Is it a wedding? Is it a mass? Is it an awarding, and so on? So we have to be specific as well. Next, prefer the simple to the complex. If you can't opt for the simple one, simple words, simple sentences, simple paragraph, then go for it. Do not go for the complex ones. Like, do not use compound sentences in one sentence. Make sure to use the simple ones. Then be positive. Huwag ka nga ayaw, be positive lang. Okay, so make definite assertions by following the natural order of thought. Subject, verb, object. Do not complicate your sentences like adding VP, NP, AP, AGP. What else is the APP phrase is in the sentence? Okay, so we are not in linguistics. We are in writing news. It has to be factual, concise, and short. Next, use the active voice. Please do not use the passive voice. Kaya wala kang nagpasa og hearsay. Wala kag daw, ingon daw, si kuan daw, ana daw. Wala kag natirang nanon imong dating. So we have to do it in active voice. For example, this one is an active voice. Congressman demanded today the firing of all NAPOCOR officials. That's an active voice. The passive voice goes like this. The firing of all NAPOCOR officials was demanded today by Congressman. So see the difference? It sounded like sa passive nga form, mura kag nanabi. Si kuan daw, kay kuan daw ni congressman daw. Ana ba, no? You have to be aggressive, active nga. All Napocor officials, the congressman, sani sa tawag ato niya, the the congressman demanded the firing of all Napocor officials, just like that. We have to use the active voice. And make sure to choose your verbs properly because verbs make a story sparkle. For instance, the sentence newspaper circulation grew steadily is more brisk and vigorous, meaning to say mas stunning siya compared to this one. The growth of newspaper circulation has been steady. So see, we can't use we can not can't, but it's more favorable if you use a much active, more stunning, more kind of a verb that involves action, that involves readiness. Ano siya? And also this one, write as you talk. So you should be able to write your news story in a conversational tone. So it makes for reading for reading more readable. So it increases interest, it helps understanding, and it's, for instance, don't lapse into the stuffy business jargon that has no relation to the way business people talk face to face. Okay? Another, use adjectives sparingly. What do we mean by that? The lesser you use the adjectives, the better, because too many adjectives result in rich, ornate prose that is hard to digest and is sometimes nauseating. Nakakasuka, nakakahilo, nakakamatay. Okay? Wala bag ikang bugtong itik na nagpalupad-lupad sa akong kasing-kasing dadto sa kuan. Ana ba? So, you use lesser adjectives, the better it is. Okay? Because sometimes when God, people would misread the adjective, especially adjectives, because it will make a sentence, a word, or a phrase, or a paragraph too romanticized, and that is unbelievable. Ano bang beautiful, very beautiful. Grabe na, ina kaayo, oy. Ano ba, dili na siya katuuan at the end. And then, what's next? Revise and sharpen. Always make sure to revise your article or your story. So look for the fat words. Kana bang words nga kana bang magpakatambok lang sa imuhang magpakadaghan or magpakatambok sa imong article but wala di siya sulod. It would say nothing. So look for those words in your paragraphs or in your phrases. Then write to express, not to impress. So make sure that you are writing to express or to tell a story, the factual story, and not to think of what people might say about you or your article. And lastly, we have here the basic formula or the basic format for writing a news story. So, in writing a news story, we would likely use the inverted pyramid format katubang ana siya. No? So if you have answered the quiz previously, you would likely know what is an inverted pyramid. So there are three parts in the pyramid. The first one is the lead. It contains what, when, where, how, and why, the basic information. The second paragraph contains supporting details. And the last part, the small one, contains additional information. It's not necessarily the conclusion. Well, dili na siya essay or kuan kanang research paper nga introduction, body, or conclusion. Dili na siya na ang news story. Okay, it contains just the exact information that readers would likely want to know about the news story. So, for example, we have here an example. You can use this format, just the lead and the body, or sometimes katong tulo, tripart siya nga inverted pyramid. Okay? ¿Entiendes? Sí, señor? Alright, question so far. Question so far. So near. Pangutana. Kira, okay ra siya? Okay ra sa itong mga kuan? Laban lang yun. Pangutana bitaw, ako mangutana ron, mag-oral jud ko ron. Bitaw, pangutana bitaw guys. Questions.
Ako na lang man di mas lang tingog.
Wala mo pangutana
Maggingon ba
agoy.
nga magbuhat og news, ma'am, kanang nana siya limit nga pages or
No. Wala siya limit. Wala siya limit. Pero na siya ang criteria gud nga is shortness and conciseness sa news. So, for example,
if
katong news nga namatay si Lloyd Cadena, for example, wala gi-appeal sa news dito kung naunsa iyang mama, unsa gibuhat siyang mama, ahayang papa, because that's for another news story. Okay, so make sure that what you're talking about in your news article should be what it is. Wala na siya side note or wala na siya chapter 2 pa kaha. Na chapter 2 pero sa lain na siya nga related article, not necessarily atong article siya sumpay. Okay? Okay?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Any more questions? Pangutana. Wala. Wala gyud. Last na gyud. O tagtulo 5 na lang. Sige. Bitaw, okay, anyway, for today's activity, everyone, we will have a quiz and an assignment. For your quiz, I want you to write a news story, okay? Any news story about an event or what happened, something that is timely. For example, hashtag academic freeze, rather hashtag cancel Korea, hashtag balas sa Manila Bay, kamo na bahala diha unsa pay problema sa Philippines. Kamo na bahala about sa inyong news story. Okay? So you can basically
Quiz
follow
na, ma'am?
Yes, a quiz. Pero wala siya this is some of the students' problem. Wala siya deadline. It's only basically your responsibility, your prerogative to submit it before the start of the next lecture. Kamo maghapoy matapugan anak ug dili mo magpass dayon, right? So it's your responsibility, your prerogative to submit on or before the start of next meeting or next lecture. Okay? So both the quiz and the assignment is open ang iyahang deadline. Ana siya. Okay? Questions.
Assignment mo, ma'am.
Assignment also, you just have to watch. Here, I will show you. I have here a video. Okay, a video. Oh, by the way, before we go that, I also included here this presentation about the different structures or various structures of news story. You can read them on your vacant time or after this lecture discussion. And then I will be showing to you, I will be putting here your assignment. You watch this video writing a newspaper article with a step-by-step guide using the format or 6 elements of headline, byline, placeline, lead, body, and quotation. So that will be your assignment. I will be posting the instruction in the Moodle classroom. I will be posting the screen recording of this lecture conference rather, for your other classmates to see what we have discussed today. Okay? Hello, baby! Annyeonghaseyo!
Dili matulog,
Cocomelon!
ma. Dili matulog.
Cocomeme! Dali.
Nagtindog.
Okay.
Hi, ma'am.
Hello! Annyeonghaseyo! Johnny.
Sleep na. Sige na.
Kantagid siya. Sige,
Hungry.
wala na pangutana? Walay na, walay. Wala gyud picture ba?
Tingog dira ti Jessie, uy.
Wala naman.
Wala na so far. Okay. All right. So I will be leaving ending the meeting now. So if you have questions, you can place it in the exchanging ideas 5 in our Moodle classroom, and I will be opening the quizzes, the quiz 5 and assignment 5 in our Moodle classroom as well. Okay, so please, if you also know somebody who is enrolled in this section, please add them sa atong Facebook group kay manglisod jud ko. I really hate sending messages sa Moodle classroom. Why? It takes time to read for others people. Namang mag-open pa ko classroom to pa ko sa message kaysa naman sa Facebook ram or sa GC ra ta mag-inform direct man gud siya dali ra kay siya mabasa, and at the same time na-avoid communication with your other classmates as well. Okay, give me a thumbs up if you get that right and clearly. Okay, all right. Very nice. Okay, thank you so much everyone for coming here today. I really do appreciate it. Please take care and please do spread positivity, dili COVID ha. Positivity sa atong mga feelings, sa atong emotions, sa atong mental state of mind and everything. Thank you so much once again. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, ma'am.
Bye-bye. 谢谢. Arigatou gozaimasu.